help that they need, you know what I mean, and losing their lives at a young age, or being hot, taking predatory deals. I've seen you talk, like make reference to that, but I asked, like, what are your feelings on it, and how do you buck up against that system?
That's a good question. Because it's one that's decades deep, you know what I mean? And me personally, what do? I just try to, as much as I can, educate on a personal level. When somebody opens up, or like when I probe and get somebody to like maybe open up about their business, or like to your question about deals, like I'll set them up with a lawyer that I actually trust. Like, all right, you need to go see this guy, see if he can work something out over there. But like, in terms of how do you change that, boy, yeah, we would have to be, this would be a much bigger discussion, because it's exploitive on. It's so exploitive, we end up exploiting ourselves. You know what I mean? Like that's how deep it is, which I feel conflicted about, because on one way I'm like, man, it's like this young man is getting, he's changing his life, his family's life, you know what I mean? And on the other side, I see the real results in the streets and back home, and not necessarily this guy resulted in this, but just right. the stuff we have normalized, right. Like what it's become. I remember thinking, like, very recently, I'm like, black people don't do heroin. You know what I mean? I remember growing up feeling like that, like, oh nah, like that's a white, that's a white drug. Like I never had no experiences with that, and it's like, come to find out, it's like, a lot of these younger rappers like have caught themselves, like, unfortunately being like addicted to Percocets, you know what I mean, and lean, which is like, that's a conversation in its own. That's something that they going through, and that's hard to get out of, you know what I mean? But you a rapper, you can get it. You can always get it. I'm now starting to see the results of people back home that can't get it. So they was on it, they was doing it, they was popping the perks, they was sipping the lean, but it's like, and then once they got addicted, it's not easy to get everywhere. Everybody's not rappers, so it's like you hit a certain point where you can't get it, but your body is already fully addicted, and if you don't feed it what it's craving, you about to go through hell. You know what I mean? So it's like, to avoid that hell, I'm starting to see, like, oh my gosh, like kids I grew up with getting the thing that is available, which is heroin. It's like, so it's like nobody's out here rapping about heroin. You know what I mean? Like, that's not cool yet.
Right.
But the real consequence of us normalizing perks and lean, it's not a judgment, you know what I mean, at all. You know what I mean? It's just a reality. The real life consequence, I feel like, is like, I see it.
Yo, it's your boy Suave the Wiz with the Mad Ad Podcast. Thanks for stopping by. Max, relax. Today I'm gonna be covering my boy J. Cole, Jermaine, Cold as Ice. You feel me? But yeah, man. J. Cole spoke recently on Martin Luther King Day. He addressed just how rappers are just selling themselves short with drug use. I mean, I have an earlier video, one of my first couple videos, I spoke about just how rappers are just drug addicts. And they're just ridiculous. They don't even understand that, like, the music and you being a superstar is kind of bigger than yourself, It's just like, you gotta really sacrifice a lot to just, keep making good music and keep surviving. I mean, this era, it's bad. It's pretty bad. A lot of people are addicted to heroin and stuff like that. Not to veer off, Cole was quoted saying, a lot of these rappers have unfortunately caught themselves being addicted to Percocets and lean. That's something that they're going through, and that's something that's hard to get out of. Cole made a valid point. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It just don't make sense. He also was just speaking on how labels pretty much abuse artists that are on drugs. They do them so dirty, and then they profit off the rappers and their drug addiction. Like, why not? I myself also spoke on this like earlier. Why not just offer them some type of help, some type of like counseling or therapy, or like, you know what I'm saying, rehab? Like, help them boys, cause drugs is a terrible thing, you know what I mean? Further along in his panel interview, Cole spoke about young rappers being taken advantage of through record label deals. He was quoted saying, "It's so exploitive. We ended up exploiting ourselves." That's how deep it is, which I feel conflicted about, because one way I'm thinking this young man is changing his life, he's changing his family's life, and on the other side, I see the real results in the streets and back home, the stuff we have normalized. End quote. I see where Cole's coming from, and I completely understand. Like, where the culture is headed, a lot of these artists are doing drugs, and it's not a good thing at all for the culture, at all, especially even for the consumer, the people that really listen to the music. If it's a wave of artists that just begin to just talk about drug use and that's what they're selling, that's their agenda, I mean, it sounds good on records, but what Cole is saying and what he's foreseeing a bad time just for the future of rap music and, you know, hip-hop and whatnot. Just the art form itself, it's become so watered down and just drug oriented. We really forgot that hip-hop is it's a beautiful art form. It's a beautiful thing. In a nutshell, J. Cole was just saying that record labels and record companies take advantage of young guys and young artists that are on drugs, or, you know, are just in that life and they're living that way. And also, Cole was just touching on the fact that we need to be aware of these situations that are happening and be aware of the music that we're making and what we're putting out into the atmosphere and out into the universe and having people listen to. You know, like, again, hip-hop is a powerful instrument. It's a powerful art form. If we don't take notice of what's going on or actually acknowledge that drugs are bad in our music or in our culture, it'll only just seep into the next generation. This generation is the generation of just hella drug use. Before it was a lot of hustlers, more so it's a lot of users now. Boy, have the times changed. Rap music is just in a different time, and it's in a different place. I wouldn't say it's in a dark place. It's just in a different place right now. Eventually, we'll come a whole 360. You know, hip hop will get back to just being about the art form. Just my prediction, my forecast. It's been the Mad Ed Podcast with your boy Suave. Please like and subscribe. Peace.